We're going to talk about trademark law and how she became a trademark attorney.
Holding an international team of attorneys.
But just doing things in a different way.
Relationship building is really important.
Very, very important.
Why is it important? Oh, good. All right. Well, I'm here with Jasmine Gratton, and we're going to talk about trademark law and how she became a trademark attorney. So tell me a bit about you, Jasmine. Where did you grow up?
Well, I sort of grew up all over the place. My mom worked for the United Nations, so I grew up traveling around a lot. I didn't spend more than a couple of years in the same place. So some of the places I've been very privileged to call home are Australia, India, Italy, the US, and the United Kingdom.
Wow, that's great. And so you've got a global perspective for the start, right?
Yes, well, I think we live in an increasingly globalized world, and especially with online marketing, it's almost very narrow-sighted to only pick one jurisdiction.
Yeah. So you went to high school in the United States?
Yes, I went to boarding school in Connecticut. I went to Hotchkiss. It was an excellent experience. I really liked being able to live independently at such a young age, and it really was an incredible educational experience. Very novel too.
So
Not
after
very
going
good.
to a school like that, was there a lot of people from around the world at your
Yes,
school?
Absolutely. That was one of the favorite things of being there was I was just among peers who were from around the world. And I think that does give you a really interesting perspective on life.
So after that, you decided to go to college. Where did you decide to go?
So I decided I wanted to go to university in England.
Which
I
is
knew I
different,
wanted,
right?
it is different. Yeah. I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I think I was one of two people in my class who ended up in England for college. And I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. England offers this path where you can just do a LLB, so a bachelor's of law as an undergraduate.
Okay.
And so for me, that was cutting out.
Why did you know you wanted to be a lawyer? What inspired you?
I think I've always had a passion for debate and problem solving and public speaking, and that really goes hand in hand with lawyering.
And how was that? Like going to law school in England and being an American, I think I see that.
Yeah, it was a really great experience.
Yeah.
I think everyone there was kind of surprised that I wasn't necessarily planning on either staying or going back. I was just there to experience it for what it was. It is a different learning experience than the US. It is very independent. There's not very much hand holding. And I think if I had known at least what the exams were like, I might have rethought the process.
Really? What way the exams like?
So they were 3-hour handwritten exams
Oh my goodness.
for each subject. And my one grade for the entire year was determined by one exam.
Really?
So
Gosh.
it was definitely
Handed down, yes.
very, very high pressure, very, very analog situation.
Yeah.
So I think if I'd known, maybe I would have thought twice. But it was character building. I'll say that.
Nice. And so you graduated law school, and then you knew you were coming back to America, or?
Well, I actually wasn't positive. I graduated in June 2020, so
Oh, right. Time.
there were relatively limited options in terms of what to do next.
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure I wanted to stay in the UK. I wasn't even sure how that would work because a lot of the firms weren't hiring.
Yeah.
So I ended up deciding I'm going to take the New York bar exam. And while I was at Bristol, I learned about Barbary, which actually was promoting this course for people doing an LLB to be able to sit the New York bar exam.
Oh, nice.
And I thought it was a great opportunity. I asked them if I could do the course for free in exchange for some marketing, and they said yes.
Oh,
So it's
great.
yeah,
Oh,
I
it's a
ended up doing that.
That's a good win.
And while I was studying for the course, I decided I also wanted to do a master's, and so I ended up doing an IP LLM. Which
in England.
in New York, actually.
York,
So I ended up going to Fordham and doing a master's of law in intellectual property and information technology.
Why intellectual property?
I've always loved innovation. I've always loved IP. Brands have been so integral to me. I've grown up in some of the fashion capitals of the world, and so being able to see that especially was very interesting. And I've always loved the protection of just intellectual thoughts and creations, and I like how IP goes hand in hand with innovation, and it's very future forward. And it's an industry that feels safe and exciting at the same time. I don't think a lot of law is like that.
Yeah. And so you're an IP attorney focused on trademarks, right?
Yes. Yep. So my expertise is trademarks, specifically in the UK and in the US. I like to really have a global focus when it comes to clients. I think that, as I said, to even think of just one jurisdiction is so narrow.
Yeah.
Most people are offering their services and their goods online. That means that they're able to sell them to people who aren't just down the street from them, and that creates new problems.
Right. So what do you like about Trademarkia and being able to handle?
Well, I love that I can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm essentially meeting clients in the middle also by being able to be video first with them.
Yeah.
I have clients from all around the world, so being able to work with them and actually work with them and not feel like there's some sort of barrier that's distance is pretty great. I also love how flexible it is. I have so many things in my daily life that I enjoy doing either from home or that don't necessarily fit into an office schedule. So, for example, on Fridays, I loved going to a dance class, middle of the afternoon.
Yeah.
I think if I worked at a traditional firm and I was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave for 3 hours to go do a dance class," they'd probably tell me to leave. So being able to do that is great. I love the flexibility, and I love that this feels like a modern firm. It's non-traditional, and I love that. I love being able to tell clients like, I understand what you're talking about because we use that in our daily lives. Like we use AI, we use ChatGPT, we are implementing the tools that they're developing and that they're using, and that makes me feel like a more authentic lawyer, and I feel like I understand clients better.
That's great. And you said financial literacy was very important to you, right? So tell that's also important for our clients. So tell us about that. How did you get
Absolutely,
used to do
absolutely.
that? Maybe growing up in Connecticut? Is that how you
Well, I've always been passionate about financial literacy, especially for women. In the United States, women were not allowed to open credit cards without a man's approval up until the 1970s.
Oh wow.
So, for most women, they don't actually understand how finances work because we've never been taught, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. So, educating the people around me and my friends, especially, we've regularly had get-togethers where we talk about our retirement accounts.
Really?
Oh
Oh
my
my
goodness.
goodness.
So, which I know feels very, very forward thinking when you're young, but it's something that you do have to plan, you do have to think about. And on that line, like I really do want to create and provide low cost legal services to clients. As much as fun as it is to work with a client who has an unlimited budget, it doesn't feel the same as working with a client who is like their IP is their livelihood. And
Yeah.
when we get the registration, they're so happy. And for some corporations that are really big, as much as I said, I love working with unlimited budgets, but
Yeah.
it doesn't like feed the soul quite the
Yeah.
same way as working with like an entrepreneur or a small business where this is their brainchild.
Right.
So I find that really rewarding, and I love being upfront about the costs. I love being able to tell them this is exactly how much it's going to be, and this is why I think it's worth it. And IP is an investment. I'm not going to say it's cheap, but I do love that we provide it at a price point that is accessible to people.
And you've been able to travel, just been with us for a short while, but you've been around the world, right?
Yeah,
So tell us
well,
about
I'm so happy about the fact that I've now been able to, well, as of next week, 3 new places, that like 3 new cities I've never been to before. So I was in the Warsaw office, which was amazing, and I think that's one thing that really was appealing to me about Trademarkia is I'm international, and when I was interviewing, everybody at the firm is international. We all have like these interesting international, unusual backgrounds that in typical firms are considered a detriment, but are actually an asset at Trademarkia. So I loved working from the Warsaw office. It was so great to meet the Polish attorneys and European attorneys and get a feel of like what that work was like. It was a great way to be onboarded. I spent my first 2 weeks at the firm from the Warsaw office, and being able to tell my friends like, "Oh yeah, I'm in Warsaw next week for work." Brand new job, and they're flying me out. It shows it was comforting for me because it was an investment from the firm in me, and it was also really great way to learn more about the business, being hands-on with the European team.
right. And then now you're here. Where?
Here in San Diego. Yeah. First time in San Diego. I spent almost no time on the West Coast, which is pretty crazy for someone who's traveled as much as I have. But
And you've got to meet some other attorneys at
yeah, yeah.
Trademarkia.
Well, it's been great. It's been great just meeting everybody, and it's been great to meet our South African attorneys who I feel like I know so well over video, and it's nice to see the bottom half of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then, earlier or so, like next week we're going to Phoenix. I've never been to Phoenix before, never been to Arizona at all. So I'm having all these brand new experiences that at a traditional firm I would not be able to have.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I also love the encouragement that I feel like I'm getting to go explore more and to go find clients and travel and really experience the world and what law is like in other countries.
So you're fairly a new grad. So what would you tell someone now going through law school, and how's the world changing, and what's the deal?
It's so crazy how quickly things have changed. My most recent graduation was only 3 years ago, and I feel like it's an entirely new world even just since then. When I was in law school, there wasn't AI the way that there is today, and I think it would have been nice to have those tools. I feel like I would have studied better. So it's definitely something where I don't think we should be shying away. I think the more you know and the more you're comfortable with, actually the greater asset you are, and I don't think you should be afraid of where technology is taking us. I think it's not going to take your job. If you know how to use it, you're not going to be made redundant. You're going to have your work just explode, actually.
Right, that's great. And so tell me about your interest in gemology?
Yes, gemology. Yes,
that.
yes. So I think for me, I mean, I grew up in India for a while. I grew up in
How'd
Italy.
you grow up in India?
So United Nations, I was in Delhi for 4 years.
Which grades were you there?
So I was there for pre-K.
Okay,
So from before I could really talk until I was about 5.
Oh, wow.
So really formative years for me.
The international school or
I went to a Hindi Montessori school.
really Haiti Montessori? So you spoken? They spoke.
Apparently, I spoke fluent Hindi when I was there. I don't anymore. But yeah, my mom said that picking me up at school is pretty easy because I was the only blonde kid in my entire class. She just picked me out of the crowd very easily.
Oh well.
Yeah, I don't remember very much of it, but of course it was a very amazing experience. And I think having the background that I do, like being able to work with people from around the world is exactly what I want to do. I've grown up around everybody, and
Yeah.
it just feels natural to me.
No, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. But my interest in gemology has been, I think I've always had like an interest in jewelry. I think it's fascinating how it is a way that a lot of like families, especially through World War II, were able to maintain like their generational wealth.
Yeah.
And it's just something that is so, it's part of our culture and it always has been. Like if you go to museums and you look at some of the oldest pieces, it's gold. It's like inscribed gold. It's metals that have been manipulated and turned into adornment. I think there's something really amazing about the fact that we've always found ways to express ourselves through what we're wearing, and jewelry is the thing that actually stands the test of time. Like it
Yeah.
doesn't go away, and I think that's pretty cool.
So you work with some jewelry clients through Trademark?
Yes, yes. I love working with jewelry clients, and I love that I understand exactly what they're talking about because right now I'm doing a gemology diploma.
Oh, nice.
So I'm learning all about diamonds. I'm learning all about jewelry, and I love working with clients where I really understand what it is that they're doing, and I'm really passionate about it.
That's amazing. So you're working with attorneys from South Africa, which you're here with, which is a gem capital.
Yeah, well, we had some great conversations about diamonds. I definitely want to visit and go see some mines myself firsthand. There's none near New York, obviously, so haven't been able to see any yet. But it is really fascinating how the jewelry market, such a interesting creature, and especially the jewelry industry, it's really hard to break into. It's a lot of families and very close knit, and I think that they're a little bit skeptical of lawyers, and certainly the law has not caught up, especially when it comes to jewelry design. And
What are the kinds of issues a jewelry company faces?
yeah, well, there's the basic ones that everyone who creates things face, where it's copying, but there's also things in terms of supply chain and certifications. The Kimberly process is something that recently came about, following just how blood diamonds have entered the market. And that regulation in itself is very fascinating. It's something I'm hoping to like dip my toe into as well.
And so you work with Canada and Australia. You both kind of got connections to both places.
Yes. So I also, even though I am so far only barred in the US and the UK, I'm hoping to become qualified in Canada. I had my paperwork processed by them, and they told me what exams I need to do.
We have attorneys inside of Trademarkia that are Canadian.
Yeah, that's really great. Yeah, Mark in Canada, I've loved working with him so far. I haven't worked with David yet in Australia quite just yet. But it is really great that we have this entire network of people who are within our firm. Like I've worked at a boutique intellectual property firm that was based in the US and was very American focused. And the way that they operated with agents, it just made me realize like the inefficiencies and the fact that we were just passing on those costs to clients did not seem fair and did not make sense.
Yeah.
So I think we're the firm of the future. I think that places that are not thinking internationally are actually on the out. And it is an adapt or die situation. And I think that we're adapting amazingly, and we're so forward thinking in terms of how we operate.
So how did you develop your mindset? Like you've got such an inspiring mindset for, being a young person. How did you develop that? Like where did that come from?
Honestly, I think it's just a lot of challenges. I've had so much in my life not happen the way I want it to. And I think that being able to look back at everything that has ever happened in a way that I didn't at the time want has made me realize I'm exactly where I'm I'm supposed to be and heading more in that direction.
That's great.
So I think definitely growing up internationally and getting exposed to so many different people and different career paths and different ways to exist. And I've been telling people today, like, I think that there's so many ways to be an attorney. And if I had known that when I was in law school, I think I would have been a little less stressed.
So this is an international trademark conference.
Yes, yeah, we're here at INTA. It is the biggest trademark conference. I think I saw 10,000 people was what the attendee list is. So everyone from all over the world, and being able to actually talk to people and interact with them and see that they're doing the same type of work and they have the same kind of passions and the same kind of goals for their clients, but they're doing it from an entirely different perspective has just been really cool.
Well, great. Well, thank you for taking the time. to talk
Yeah,
to
it's been
me.
great to be here
Thank
today.
you for being a trademark. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Protect your brand with Trademarkia. Register your trademark on trademarkia.com.